Hi team, and welcome back to another webinar with myself. It does feel like it's been quite a while since we've done a webinar, but anyway, I thought I'd do quite a poignant subject at the moment because I think a lot of us are going through it, have been for a little while, and it's stress and stress management. So we're going to talk things all about stress, what it is, how do we manage it, and how do we kind of maintain a healthy level of stress in our lives. So it's quite a bit to talk about, so bear with me. I'm just getting up, first of all, like, what is stress? And you're kind of going to state the obvious. Normally people say, emotional, as well as maybe sort of mental stress. It's probably the main thing, but I'm going to talk about all aspects of stress. So it can be from hormonal to mood, to basically emotion, so that links with emotions, to mental health and physical stress. So there's quite a lot to talk about. So firstly, I just thought I'd go on the NHS and just go, what is stress? And basically, stress is the body's reaction to feeling threatened or under pressure. It is very common, can be motivating and help us achieve things in our daily life, and can help us meet the demands of home, work, and family life. But too much stress can affect our mood, our body, and our relationships, especially when it feels a bit out of our control. It can make us feel anxious, irritable, and can also affect our self-esteem. Experiencing a lot of stress over a long period of time can also lead to feelings of physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion, often called burnout. Right, I'm going to put my phone over here because it keeps buzzing right now and it's very distracting. So let's talk about, I did myself a little mind map, or what was it? I call it a brainstorm, but apparently you're not allowed to call it a brainstorm anymore. Anyway, so I've talked about the definition, what you would see officially on the NHS website, but let's break it down into like kind of things that I think it is. So let's do the first one where it's linked to fitness, because no matter what, exercise is stress on the body. It's very good for the body, but what do I mean when it's stress on the body? Is the fact that you get what's called inflammation when you have had a workout. So when you have got this, you have done your exercise, you've stimulated those muscles, they've been ripping apart and doing, it sounds awful when I say ripping apart, but there's, your muscles have worked hard. When they start to repair again, this whole thing about building tissue and all of that kind of stuff, when we're doing that, we've got a little bit of inflammation in our body. Now, particularly the more active you are, the more likely you are to have inflammation in your body. So it's good to find that kind of balance for yourself. And this is where it kind of links to having a decent amount of rest and recovery. So I would say the more active you are, the better you do cope with the stress on your body, because you've kind of built up this sort of tolerance, you've built up this endurance for your body. But when you're starting off, so if you're new to the team, because I have got quite a few newbies at the moment, when you are new, you're experiencing probably quite a lot more tiredness at times when you're doing a session. So afterwards, you might be like, I am shattered. You might be finding, obviously, you've got really bad DOMs at the moment. But what I say is just trust me on it. Keep moving your body, keep active, stick to the program I set for you. It does get better and your tolerance does build up. And then you start to push yourself a little bit harder. It's knackering, but then you build up that tolerance and it just keeps building up and up and up and up and up. So that's how you kind of deal with the stress of that. But also it's about implementing rest days. Okay. So when I say implementing rest days, that might be, so for example, if you've got 3 sessions per week, I want you to have like a day off in between those sessions, ideally, because then you're letting your body have that chance to build, rest, recover. Okay. So really, really think about that time. And what also comes with that is sleep. Now, I'll go into a little bit more in a second, but basically, if we don't get enough sleep, your body is going through another type of stress as well. But basically, when you have had, a workout, or if you're getting over illness or whatever it is in your life, your body needs a chance to recover and to restore. And that's why sleep is so important. So if you are one of these people who is getting like 4 or 5 hours sleep a night, maybe a little bit broken. Maybe you need to start reevaluating when you go to bed. So have a think about, okay, I need to prioritize 8 or 9 hours. You might find, oh, that's it, I'm a night owl, I'm going to be up. Set yourself good habits in terms of go to bed early, and it might be you need to read a book for a while, but what I would say is turn your phone off. Now, I know for a fact I've got an iPhone that it's got a sleep profile you can put on it now, and it will not go off until a set hour you put on for it when your alarm goes off. So I would strongly advise that if that's what wires you, keeps you going and keeping awake in the night. The other thing is obviously implementing a good habit in terms of, right, I'm now going to make sure that I stop watching Netflix, for example, from 9 o'clock. I know it can be hard sometimes, especially when you get to a cliffhanger. But is it really worth it when you're going to binge watch that and then you're like, oh my God, what do I watch next? Whereas you could be excited to watch it the next, evening, the following day when you've had a busy day. So start to set yourself a good habit out. Or do you switch off more if you read a book? Could you start maybe prioritizing? So the amount of times people say to me, I love reading, but I don't have time for it. You can definitely make time for it before bed. The other thing you could do is maybe a form of yoga or meditation before bed, if that really helps you feel that state of Zen. I know quite a few of you have most definitely been implementing that into your evening habits recently, and it's amazing and it's really inspired me. So I'm definitely considering starting that up at some point. That would be really, really great. But when we have lack of sleep, we get what's called cortisol start to rise in our body. That's the stress hormone. And sometimes when that rises to a certain level, that can make us feel a little bit more buzzed and a little bit more like our brain's going everywhere. If we keep going and, we keep pushing ourselves, we're not getting enough sleep, we're not letting our body recover properly. So then cortisol still rises, because cortisol is what helps you. Firstly, it's your hormone that wakes you up in the morning. But secondly, this hormone helps you kind of deal with shit when you're running on empty. You don't want to keep that up high. It's not good for you. Okay. So fun fact, I learned about this through a sleep consultant that we've been using for my son. From midnight through to the morning, your cortisol levels start to slowly rise through the hours of the morning. So from midnight onwards, it starts to rise. And that's what naturally wakes you up, as well as daylight, when we finally get more daylight soon. So that naturally wakes you up because it's a stress hormone to go kind of, come on, let's go. That's why it's good to work out in the mornings, because you're likely to be able to use that bad boy for good reason. So also, if you're running a little bit late in the morning, it could also really help with that. But when there are a lot of you I know who are cabin crew that train with me, and I know that you do night flights, okay? So I get that. And when that happens, and when you're absolutely shattered, you're like, oh my God, I'm like dying, and I've had like 4 cups of coffee, and I'm just hungry now because I'm staying awake. This is because the hunger hormone ghrelin is starting to increase, because your body is trying to find a way to cope with all of this. So if you are working night shifts, night flights, I strongly advise that you have high protein, high fiber meals and drink a ton of water. Now, caffeine is amazing and it's a great stimulant, but don't have too much of it in a day. They say no more than 400 milligrams. If you have more than 400 milligrams, you start to then increase your stress levels in another way. You're going to affect your sleep patterns. So for example, you come back from a night shift, but you've drunk 4 or 5 cups of coffee during that night, you're not going to sleep properly. You're not going to get proper sleep cycles. So I can guarantee you'll wake up from that post-work nap and you'll feel like dog shit, in all honesty. So the best way to keep yourself going, yes, obviously have, maybe 1 coffee when you're partway through that night shift. Drink tons and tons and tons of water. That will really, really help you. And to control, ghrelin, that's why I say fruit, veggies, protein sources, that will also help control that, because I know I've been there from being cabin crew. It is tricky at times. So The other thing is when we are suffering with really high levels of stress, so say like you are working really hard, you're not sleeping very well, you're not prioritizing your sleep, you're working out far too much, more than what your body really can cope with. If you are overexerting on your body, maybe then in too much of a calorie deficit and really making your body work so hard, your stress levels are so high, you don't even realize it because you've pushed yourself that hard. You're running on empty and you keep going. This could do things like start being detrimental for women's cycles. So this could be then when things like your estrogen could start to deplete slightly, and you might start noticing. So quite a few girls I've had in the past where they've got so stressed with everything going on in their lives and they're so busy, they've missed a period. Not because they're pregnant or anything like that, but because their stress levels are so high, physically, hormonally, emotionally, mentally, that they're not having a full cycle. So then estrogen is not being produced, and estrogen is our friend. Estrogen is what is our baby. It's what really helps us. It protects us. Okay, this is what helps look after our bone density and our bone health. This is what helps us give us that drive and that kind of I can do attitude. This hormone is the shiz. This also is the hormone that helps you build muscle. So if you start to deplete yourself from that because you are going far too hardcore, and this is like where I've had people, I will never say names because I've had it quite a few times. I've had women who are eating less than 800 calories a day, which was shocking. They were then running between 5 to 10K every day, then doing my workouts, then freaking out because they weren't losing weight, and they have been doing this for months and months and months. Their body is freaking out. Their body is trying to catch up. This is not healthy. This is not okay. And when I see things like this happen, this is when alarm bells ring. When I see calories this low and I say, no, you should be eating, I don't know, for example, 1500, 1600. And they're like, no, that's far too high. I'm going to gain weight. And I said, granted, first 2 or 3 weeks, you probably will gain weight because your body, you have absolutely destroyed, basically it's metabolism. It's the nicest way I can put it. You've basically fucked up your hormone levels. It's the nicest way I can put it. So your body, yeah, it's probably going to store it as fat at first and freak out, and you'll have bloating, and your digestive system will basically wake up and kind of go, oh, I've got a job to do. So your body will kind of get a rejig, a restart, and then things start to settle. So when I have had people in really low calories in the past, I really bring their food up. Like that's the first thing. I want them to have a good relationship with food, and I want them to stop over exercising. There is such a thing. And it's, as a coach, it's kind of a thing that you notice. You just, from watching someone, how they would talk to you with their check-ins, having a look through things like their step counts, their activity logs, and it's like, no, this isn't okay. You're working out more than someone where it's their profession. So yeah, you just notice it. But what I would say is, girls, is if it's getting to the point where your cycle's being affected, you really need to talk to me, okay? But I would normally notice this anyway when it comes to check-ins. So luckily I haven't had this now for a fair few months, and I really hope to dear God I don't have to. But obviously I want to help people. But it wasn't a nice thing. And often when it leads to things like that, it's normally down to them. We have to kind of end it there, and they go off and have more help with their mental health first to then create that good relationship with food. Now, I have had success stories where people have gained it, but sometimes it digs a lot deeper. Anyway, I digress. So the other thing is, when we're stressed, it can lead to quite poor food and drink decisions, can't it? We can go one way or the other. Sometimes when we're so stressed or we're freaking out over something that's recently happened, some of us can either stress eat or not eat. Can go one way or the other. The other thing it can do is when someone's going through a really stressful period in their life, it might be overconsumption of alcohol. They might be going, fuck, I need 2 glasses of wine. I need a bottle of wine tonight. I know people that have had it, and they were granted before I really got stuck into this business. There were times where I think my consumption was high. It wasn't like alcoholic level or anything like that, but I thought of alcohol was a great way to de-stress without learning kind of really about alcohol. Now, I'm not saying like, I love a drink, okay? But I have to kind of say, look, where's the balance? So for me, it's keeping the alcohol consumption to the weekend, and it's quite little to moderate, to be quite honest. I don't like how I feel the next day. But when it comes to alcohol consumption, it is, as you know, it's an antidepressant. So if you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, upset, things are hitting, like shit has hit the fan for you recently, do you really think having a further depressant into your system, is that really going to be a good idea? Reevaluate that. It could, now there's nothing wrong with maybe having like the odd glass of wine with like one of your best mates or something, because you've had a shit show of a week and you want to have a chat with someone about it. You want to go out to a bar and talk about it. But I do say, if you're starting to notice there are unhealthy levels where it's kind of every time that you've had a problem, an episode or something going on, and it seems to be happening often, perhaps you need to reevaluate, do I need to cut out alcohol when I'm going through these emotions? Also, high alcohol consumption, think about what it does for your organ health, dehydration, and also I kind of think of it as a waste of calories. It's terrible. But like I say, I'm not one for cutting out alcohol. I do find it fun. I do find it delicious. I do enjoy it. But it's just finding that healthy balance, as I always say to you guys. The other thing is with poor food decisions is, say like you are then finding you're binge eating, for example. Now I have to be careful because obviously this goes public on YouTube, but some people can then say, you don't know anything about binge eating. I'm not talking about eating disorders here, okay? I'm talking about to the point where, you're just having a moment where you're stressed. So you then go, right, fuck it, I can't be bothered. I'm going to have a takeaway tonight, a takeaway tomorrow. I'm having another takeaway. Shit, I've had 4 takeaways this week. Is that really healthy? Is that okay? Don't get me wrong. I have my days where it is crazy busy and I'm stressed to hell because I'm juggling the business. I'm looking after my son. Suddenly he's ill. Tom gets a bug. When we had COVID in the house and I was trying to still maintain the business and sort things out, it was horrible. And we do have those times. So this is why sometimes when it comes to like food choices and that, still try and make some good choices where you can. Like if you can't count your food, for example, if you're in a deficit for a fat loss goal, if you go through 1 week where it's just shit has hit the fan, work is a nightmare, the kids are driving you insane, you just can't cope, just try and make the best choices where you can. So try and just increase your fruit and veg where you can, and try that. Make your meals easy. If you know that you've got a week ahead of you that looks absolutely insanely busy, could you meal prep? And I don't mean like the whole boring Tupperwares and that's constantly. Could it be that you batch cook something and then chuck it in the freezer or fridge? Could it be, I don't know, I know that I'm going to be on the road for 2 days per week. Maybe like if I'm going to have like, I don't know, an M&S sandwich, could I make a better choice with that? Kind of put that into my fitness pal. Just try and plan ahead where you can. Could you say have lots of healthy options chucked in the freezer, so where you have lots of frozen fruit and veg? That can be really, really helpful. Sometimes just chucking in protein sources in the freezer, so like chicken, fish, loads of meat-free substitutes and stuff, so it's just there. So when you are having a shit show of a day, you can just whack it in the oven and you can forget about it. That obviously, if you're having meat, please defrost it first. I'm not going to be responsible for someone having food poisoning. Definitely did that to myself a few weeks ago. Anyway, So that's a good way to kind of help yourself kind of maintain in terms of healthy, not always staying on track maybe, but if you're able to make those better choices for yourself, you're just going to feel better. That's one thing I would say. So I've kind of already started talking about management of stress and stuff like that, but I'll just kind of go through what I've got in the management of stress bubble. So I talked about already, like, turn your phone off or put it into do not disturb or whatever from 9 o'clock. Do that until then, what your allocated wake up time is. And just remember, obviously stress about the things you can control. Sometimes we can't control everything, okay? So try not to obviously put a downer on it or stress you out. I know obviously it's easier said than done, but I'm kind of like, it's like the same thing with like social media and stuff and how people may behave or whatever. And if it stresses you out and someone annoys you and winds you up from every time you see that social media post that comes out from that particular person, and it gives you that sort of feeling of anxiety, stress, depression, you're unhappy with yourself, why are you following them? Remove them straight away. If that's me though, please don't delete me, please. I shouldn't be doing that anyway. But yeah, I would just, what you can stress about the things you can control. Like the NHS definition said, sometimes it gives us that drive and that push to complete those things that we can control. So that's where you can obviously have that stress to show that you care, for example, about your work. Okay, that's okay to stress about. And sometimes you're going to have those weeks where if nothing's gone to plan and you haven't been able to get your workouts in, don't let it stress you out. Just kind of go, look, it is what it is. But I did park further away in the car park for work today. I did, instead of taking a lift, I took the stairs. I did drink 3 liters of water. I'm feeling pretty good about that. And I have eaten 5 portions of fruit and veg. I'm feeling pretty good. So no stress. Next week, I can definitely get my sessions in, that kind of thing. Okay. And also that's when it kind of links into prioritizing your daily like to do tasks. And yeah, so kind of waking up with like a plan of action. So what are you like first thing in the morning? First of all, are you you're an early bird or you're a night owl? Everyone's different. I think quite a lot of you seem to be early birds at the moment from just the messages I get and stuff. So if you can work out, for example, before work, you're going to feel good. You're going to get up, get going, smashed it. Don't have to worry about it the rest of your day. You can move on. I really recommend that though, if you can. If you are awake from early in the morning, there's no harm. If you can, in your power, have a little session, go out for a walk, go out for a run, do it. You will feel so good afterwards. But there are the other lot who, when they get up early, it's literally get up, go, 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 because it's work, children, etc., etc. That's different. So what you can do for that is make sure, if you are obviously a breakfast person, have a hearty, good sauce breakfast, slow releasing carbohydrates, so like your porridge or whatever. I love my porridge. So whether it's overnight oats or porridge, or if you're going to be, I don't know, having fruit and yogurt in the morning because you don't like too much. One of the girls absolutely loves her Weetabix in the morning. Cool, have that. That's going to make you feel good and move on from the day. If you're one of these people that you have to have breakfast on the go, make sure it's something that you're going to feel good with. If instead of when you get to work then thinking I'm just going to pop to prep, then I'm going to go and get a cappuccino. It's got 2 sugars in it, full fat milk, and I'm going to get a croissant. You've already fucked up the day from that. If you're basically, especially if you're in a fat loss journey, if you're not and you're counting in, that's okay. But I can guarantee you'll be hungry again in about an hour. Croissants have actually been shown to have the lowest satiety, hunger fulfilling hormone, basically. Out of a lot of breakfast snacks. So even though they are flipping delicious and they're absolutely banging, yeah, just think about that. So anyway, prioritizing your day. So no matter what, having those non-negotiables, whether it's no matter what, lunchtime, I'm going to go out for a 20-minute walk, or no matter what, I'm going to get my leg session in today, that kind of thing. but prioritize what's most important for you, okay? Everyone's priorities are completely different, okay? So please remember that. But no matter what, it's good to make a plan. So that's why I love my weekly planners, daily planners. Keeps me on track. I feel really that sense of accomplishment when I've absolutely smashed it at the end of the day. So yeah, totally worth it. Now, other things with stress management. Prioritizing some me time is something that I do struggle to do, admittedly, and I'm sure a lot of you are like that too. And that me time isn't just going to the gym, okay? It's good for you, and yes, it's sort of like a me time, or going out for a run. I suppose, yeah, it does kind of let you think about stuff or clear your mind, listen to your music, listen to a podcast. Me time needs to be time where you are chilling, you are feeling happy, you are feeling great. So that me time, think about what makes you feel at your happiest and makes you feel relaxed, especially if you know, if you're a parent, for example, or your job involves being surrounded by a lot of people and kind of people pleasing, whether it's customer service or it's care service, all that kind of stuff can be mentally and emotionally draining. Okay. So having that time to yourself could be great. It could be from something very simple to, like, I don't know, popping into town. It could be having a nice little coffee in a coffee stop for you. It could be doing like a bit of meditation or yoga. It could be having a nice bath and their skincare routine. Having that time, it's going to help you de-stress and clear your mind. Okay. To-do lists, I forgot to write, I've just seen it here, sorry. It's quite nice if you feel overwhelmed that you and stressed that you've got so much to do either this week or whatever. If you break it down into bullet points, I can guarantee immediately you will look at that and a different level kind of stress will start for you. It'll be like a motivated and like, oh, okay, I can do that. That actually looks okay. And then start ticking that off. That really does help relieve that kind of a bad feeling of stress, but there's a good feeling of stress in terms of motivating and pushing you. So what else is there? No matter what, I like you guys to stay active. If you are, for example, in a job that involves a long periods of sitting, so if you have a desk job, for example, I do like a form of physical activity. It clears your mind and it does release endorphins. So try that. So like, for example, going out for a walk, like I said, during your lunch break hour, or if it's, I don't know, getting on your bike, say that you got a spinner bike in your home, using that to get yourself moving. Or it could be just going to the gym, knowing that you're in that zone, you're going to feel good, you've got your headphones on, you are on it. For those who do home workouts with me, you might be like, right, I'm going to blast my music up really loud in my house and I'm just going to go for it. That is going to release some endorphins for sure. The last thing I want to talk about is don't be afraid to ask for help when you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, anxiety is kicking in. So people you can reach out to is your loved ones, whether it's talking to your boss at work, whether it's coming to me to say, actually, Hayley, I'm really struggling to get these 4 sessions in. And I'll probably guarantee I'll go, right, let's take it down to 3. Okay, actually, you can't cope with 3 because you're juggling or you're spinning so many plates at the moment. Let's take it down to 2, but we increase such and such somewhere else to help you. It could be that you need to have help with childcare. Now, this is something that I remember really struggling with when I started off with Harrison and knowing when I would need help. So I remember it was summer last year that I said, that's it. I need to have Harry at nursery a couple times a week where I can focus, because I was really feeling like I wasn't putting 100% into everything. So that was when I noticed that. Now I have nursery twice a week. 1 till 6. My mum is going to start having Harrison every Thursday now for an entire day, which is really helpful. And my auntie helps on a Tuesday morning for 2 hours just to help have him. So this thing helps with my feeling of overwhelm with work. And also, I have a workout schedule that I want to follow. So then I'm able to make a weekly plan for myself, what I'm doing. And I get to like Friday or Saturday and I just feel flipping good because I've smashed it, but I've still been a mum to Harry. So although it sounds like, yeah, pretty much most days of the week, I've got someone kind of taking Harry for a little bit for me. It's not the entire day, but it frees up those few hours for me so I can do the best for everyone. It really does help. You know, when it comes to work, if you're finding it overwhelming, then you need to obviously challenge it through your boss or whatever, and just say, look, can you help me manage this a little bit better? You are giving me too much. Have a think about it. Sometimes we do go through that. So anyway, I hope that has kind of helped you think about a bit of stress management, how to help yourself with that, and take good care of yourself. No matter what, we all have levels of stress in our lives, and it's how we cope with it and how we maintain some of it and how we manage it. So no matter what, please, 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 please message me anytime. If it's something that I can help with, I'm always going to be there to support you. So thank you so much for watching, team, and I will see you all very, very soon.